Hi there everybody and welcome to one of my first ever commentary videos. This is going to be a commentary on the making of Total Drama Oskayi Island. So today I'm going to be doing a quick, well not a quick video, it's going to be a commentary about me making Oskayi Island. Now this is the actual process I go through while doing one of my characters and such, but when it comes to environments it's a lot more complex and a lot more harder. So when you first start out with making a drawing, you want to set some guidelines which you have to follow to make sure your character doesn't look jagged or your vectorizations don't look jagged. And one thing you want to start doing is putting guides, which I'm doing now, that I can follow and reference back to say, well, what was the line that I need to follow here, and what line do I follow to make it as straight as possible. I do end up screwing up a little bit because it is quite a big drawing, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be following my thick lines on my drawing or not, or if I was going to just ignore them and use the outside or inside. So I ended up vectorizing the both inside and outside of almost every line, just because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And there's some points in the video where I actually go back into my guide layer and add some more guides to follow while I'm doing certain things. So in the beginning, you're going to start putting down your guides, making sure that everything is going to be not jagged, and you're going to follow those guides and make sure everything stays as smooth looking as possible. And you'll see throughout the video I do break the rules because it just looks better when you go outside them. But like I said, put the guidelines as a good reference to what your actual drawing looks like. It might take a little bit longer to do, but it just improves overall quality in the end. It's kind of like checking your camera to make sure the battery's charged before you start recording. It just makes sure that there's no interruptions in what you're doing and makes everything run a lot smoother. So I'm going to do these guides for almost every single straight line that intercepts something. So whenever something is being intercepted, I always put a guideline to make sure that when I connect those lines together, that it's a seamless connection. It doesn't look like there's a gap or some sort of overlapping happening. It's always smooth, connected perfectly to each other. As you can see, that guideline I just connected, it's being connected to that guideline I made earlier, so I know that's where it's going to be connected and it's going to be perfect. Same with this one. It's connected right to that one. Boom. It's always seamless. Right there. Boom. It's connected. And throughout the video, I was listening to a commentary, so you will see a window pop every once in a while of me just seeing what's happening in the video, because this takes a really long time and it gets kind of boring. So I have something playing in the background just to keep me entertained and focused on what I'm doing. You might say, well, if you're focused on what you're doing, you shouldn't be bored. Well, it gets really boring doing these lines, so you definitely have to do something else, listen to music or listen to commentaries. If you want to know what video I'm watching, I'm pretty sure I was watching the Best of Rooster Teeth Achievement Hunter. I was watching a couple of those just because they're about an hour long and there's not so many interruptions, but once in a while there's something happening on screen and I'm laughing about it, so I want to check and see what it is, what's actually going on. But yeah, just making the guides just makes your life a hell of a lot easier in the long run, because you won't have to be flipping back and forth. You'll see me flip back and forth quite a bit during some parts of the video because I'm just not sure what looks best. Yeah, see there, it was something to do with Rooster Teeth. But yeah, you'll see me in the video flip back and forth a little bit to see what I'm screwing up because it doesn't look proper, and I'm like, well, what was the original pattern like when I drew it? Do I have to follow the original pattern? I cannot ignore it. And here you'll see me start coloring some rocks and stuff just that are poking out of the water, but I just kind of fiddle around with it to get my bearings back because it's my first time using Illustrator in a long time, so I just wanted to fiddle around with it, make sure everything's correct. And yeah, you can see here that I'm not using the guide, but I'm making sure that all my lines are connecting perfectly together so it doesn't look screwed up. So I think I'm still making guides. Like I said, making guides can be really important. No, actually, I think I'm coloring the beach in right now. I'm coloring the actual sand in, but you can see that since I have those guides, I have a clear, distinct place where I need to be, and I can morph it to that line instead of trying to guesstimate past the picture. But because I already know that the line I put there before is correct. Here I am again, and this is where you can start basically ignoring and the layers in front. Your front layer has to be the one that's correct, and the ones behind it can just be placed behind your first layer as long as the top layer is shaped perfectly on top, the bottom doesn't matter, because the first layer in front will do that. It's kind of like if you cut a piece of construction paper, place on top of a sheet of white paper, and then you put another sheet of paper behind that one. It's basically learning to work in layers. If you guys want, I will redo this in slow and do a full commentary for what is going on. So it's not so sped up and I can more explain what's happening. But I just wanted to release this cool video because I said my next video is going to be the team logos, and that one's in the works. I'm just trying to get some others. I'm just trying to do something in between that, because drawing the bear logo can be a little bit drawing that, yeah, so you can see me flipping back and forth there. But no, the one logo I need to draw is a bear, and yeah, see, you can see me flipping back and forth, because I'm not exactly sure what this is supposed to look like, because it doesn't look proper. And you see there, I finally got it, but I was like, no, it doesn't look right, what's happening? And then I keep flipping it around and tweaking it and stuff, and just looking at it. Oh yeah, they're playing Minecraft. But you know, so you can see me flipping back and forth and messing with colors to see what looks proper and what is gonna ultimately make the image look better and make more sense. So you can see me flipping around. I'm like, well, if I take this line out, what will it look like? And I look at it and I go, no, can this work? And then you can see me flipping back and forth to try and match that line up, because I don't have a guide there. Or I think I might have turned them off to help me do this. Yeah, that's a hilarious episode. If nobody's ever watched User Teeth, highly recommend watching their WWE Let's Play. That's freaking hilarious. It's a gut buster. That's why I was flipping back and forth, because I had to look and laugh at it. You know, it's also good to take little breaks in between doing all this crap, just because it gets so tedious, and you're like, oh man, it's getting really boring. So you see me fill that in there, but then you won't see me do this. But what I do actually is, when I started getting my bearings back, I was trying to retrace everything. But what you can do is what you'll see me do later in the video, but I'm not really sure when it happens, so I'll just explain what's going on with making these different layers. See, there's that green layer, right? That big green layer, that's actually the setting itself. What you want to do is copy and paste that one, because you can copy and then paste in place. You can paste it right back in where it was, and then you can basically edit around what you've already done to make it smaller and match, so that you never have a misplaced line, because it's almost impossible to replace a line specifically and do the exact same curvature in that line and so forth. So what you want to do is take the top layer, and so you can see me editing it right there. I'm editing it so that it'll fit to that piece, but the outside edges of that piece are always the same as the front of the last one. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you take the first piece, imagine getting 2 sheets of paper, right? And you cut a triangle out of one, but then you place it over top of the first one. The outside corners are always going to match. But see, you cut that sheet of paper in half, but the top right corner always matches the top right corner. So it's almost seamless. So if you couldn't see the cut, you couldn't actually notice it. So it's basically what I'm trying to say is, if you just take the original piece, copy it and paste it, and then cut chunks of it out to match the layering, then it'll look right. Because I think I do it here. You'll see in these trees, I have a little bit too many of them, but I wanted to keep all of them just because it's easy to take them out once you have them. So I was like, I'll just do all of them. And when you see me doing there is when I select them all, I'm also grouping them together so that I can grab them all at once and change them all at once instead of individually. So yeah, if you want me to do a detailed video on what my process is, then just let me know, and I will do a re-commentary for this, the full 3 hours it took to do this. So yeah. But yeah, so yeah, and also you'll see me that this is more so just like rough, just getting everything done. Yeah, you can see there, yeah, this perfect example of not giving a crap about the bottom, because the front, the layers I did before can go in front of it and basically shape it correctly, and it's less work. So yeah, you can see me there grouping up all the trees and just making it so they stick out and changing the layers. If you want me to, like I said, go through my whole process, I can make a longer video just to show you exactly what I'm doing, because it does go really fast, And I know one of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm trying to watch a video of how to do something and somebody's just fast forwarding all this shit that's important. You're like, well, slow down, Skippy. I'm trying to learn here, and you're going really fast. So, if that's the case, just let me know, guys, and I will do another commentary on this, except at the full 3 hour length it took, which is probably going to be like a 5-parter, like my other commentary videos are. So here I'm moving to these rocks. These rocks just became a nightmare at the beginning. I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to do these rocks, and I was really annoyed because that first one took me forever, and I didn't want to go through all that again. So I basically just picked up a method of using transparency, which shades are colored differently based on what transparency you put it at. So if you do a black and put it over a solid, like that, right, I think that color right there is just like a darker brown, and then I put it transparent so it kind of blends with the original color. It makes it look more natural instead of a jarring different color look. Like yeah, and what I'm doing here is when you make a vector path, if you don't close it, it's just a stroke line. And if you go to object path and you go outline stroke, you can basically outline the stroke of your line, so that you don't have to worry about the edges of your path not working properly. And now you see here I kind of messed myself over because I make 2 parts to this rock when I should have really just made 1, but I made 2 instead, which is the difficult part about it, and kind of sucks because if I want to change something, I got to go back and change both of the layers instead of just one. So yeah, try and use, if you know both are going to be the same color, just use layers, overlap stuff. It works a lot better. And if you're wondering why it loses color and everything for split moments in there, I'm going to outline mode, which allows me to basically just see all the outlines of the lines that I made before without the colors getting in my way, so I can see above and below layers, which also really helps. But yeah, you can see here I don't have that shadow line made for this one here, so you can see me cutting that piece apart and then reshaping the bottom piece to fit where I need it to fit. And then I basically just place it on top of the original one, make it transparent, and boom, I have some sort of shading. I made that top piece white and then made it transparent, and then I just kind of lit up that top piece like sunlight's hitting it, and all the rest of it is the shadow. I managed to get there. It was white, and then I just put it transparent, and it manages to create this kind of sun coming over the horizon look, which is what I'm going off. I actually do place in a reference picture of Oskayi Island to basically help me get my grasp of what that shading looks like again. Like I said, always use reference, even if it is a reference from Total Drama, always use a reference, because it's gonna help you basically get that look you're looking for without actually copying it. See there, I have it in there, and I'm looking at it going, what does their shading look like? What's that shading again? And looking like, well, how did they do it? And then, yeah, all that good jazz. Then here's the cool thing. I make this piece right here, and I just set it there, and I know what's gonna look like at the end. So I leave it for the entire video, and then it's not to the very end you see what that piece looks like, which is pretty cool, because I grabbed it. I was like, I'm just gonna do this now, and then make it white transparent, and just wait to the very end, and it's gonna show up perfect the way I want it to. Yeah, see, making one giant solid piece, and then basically cutting it apart to make it look like you want it to look. Yeah, so I actually cut the original piece apart, so I just undo. See, there's me taking the original piece, cutting it apart, taking the original piece and leaving it there, and yeah, just cutting around what I already have, which is very unique. And then using my layers, I place it behind the first one I made, and then just put the grass on there, and then boom, looks like I have it finished. Yeah, and also remember, when you're working in layers, the next layer you make is always going to be above the ones you made before. So ideally, you'd want to work from the back to front, but you can always just change the way the layers look so that they overlap and look nice together, which is what I did. Yeah, see me here, I'm kind of, yeah, there's a solid piece, and then you can see me change the color and then add in the actual shading, and here I am looking at the pattern to see what needs to be colored and what needs to be done sort of way. And then I'm adding the I'm not sure what to call those lines. I'd say they're perspective lines to show that, hey, this is kind of like going inwards to a shaded area, and then it gets darker there, and then comes back down to a flat area. It's really hard to explain how that worked, because I wasn't really sure about it myself. So know what your own work is. is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you can see here I got that grass, but I just moved the layer so it's below the rocky area, so that I don't have to worry about the bottom being cut perfectly to the. I don't have to worry about the top layer being cut perfectly to the bottom layer, because the top layer is already basically protruding out the bottom layer. Um, I wish I could explain it easier. It's hard to really explain that process. If I had more time and it wasn't going so fast, I could show you. And then this is where I start playing music, because I was getting sick and tired of flipping to my Google Chrome to change the video. So I was just, I'm just gonna play music and just rock out to that for a little bit, and get this done. And then yeah, because it was less interruptive than changing the actual YouTube video that I was watching. Yeah, you can actually see it's actually starting to look pretty good here. Yeah, you can see me flipping from the regular image to the next one to see how it actually looks and try and match it completely. Now, if you're wondering how I'm doing these trees, I'm actually doing a key command, which is very simple. Whenever you get a new program, always learn your shortcuts. The shortcuts I'm using, the pen tool shortcut is the P on the keyboard, and when you click P, it brings you up to the pen tool, which allows you to draw these vectorized lines that look really smooth, and you can basically scale any vectorized line to whatever size and it won't distort or pixelate, which is really cool. So you want to use that all the time when making artwork like this, because when you can enlarge it and it won't pixelate. But when I'm doing to make these trees, it might seem like I'm going really fast, but somebody who doesn't have the skill level I do, it'll take them forever to do those trees, just because they keep screwing up or they do one wrong thing. So what I do when I make these trees, it's a simple shortcut combination. V is your pick tool, which means it allows you to click and drag things, and P is your pen tool. So I'm going to go P, click, click, do my 3 clicks, click V. That'll pop me out of the pen tool, and then I click P again, click, 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 V, P, click, 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 V, P. And what it's doing is it's breaking the line I'm making, because the pen tool will always want to go until you close, that you make like a full complete triangle or a full complete circle, whatever you're trying to do. It wants to make sure you always click back at the beginning. What I'm doing is I'm telling it that I want to stop and basically not finish the whole piece of the puzzle or finish the line that I did. Because the pen tool always wants to finish a line. It never wants to leave a line just without an end. And that's how the pen tool works. Right? If you click V, it'll kick you out of the pen tool. And you click P again, it'll bring you to a new line. And then you can just do that over and over again without having to click on the sidebar there where my tools are located and do it. You just go P, click, click, V, P, click, click, VP, click, click, VP. And basically I just put my pinky on the V, on the V key, and my index finger on the P, and then my right hand on the mouse, and then I just click, 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 and I use my pinky and my index finger to basically switch between tools seamlessly. And the A tool can also work as well. The A tool allows you to edit what you've done with the pen tool. It allows you to click and drag and move all your curves and stuff, so that's also a good one to learn. And see, here's what the guides are coming into play. You'll see me actually flip to the, because when you do stuff like this, it doesn't want to match up completely to the line you made before. So you can see me actually flip to outline mode in a couple moments here. I'll flip to outline mode and I'll actually take those lines that are not completely on the line I made before and just put them there. See the top, you basically do that and it looks way nicer. Boom, no messiness. If you have OCD, this is going to help you a lot. So yeah, there you go. That's done, and then basically I don't care about the top layer. It's going to go below the front layer, the bottom layer instead. And boom, it's there. Perfectly done. No roughness or jaggedness. Now here, this piece I looked at and just went, oh hell, this is going to be one hell of a mess. Which it turned out not to be from what I learned before. But what I should have done, which I didn't do, is I should have just made one solid brown piece out of the whole cliffside, because I knew all those pieces were going to be, I knew all the white pieces were going to be a light brown, and I knew all the dark pieces were going to be a dark brown. So I should have just made one giant solid brown piece and then just basically vectorized in all the dark pieces. But I decided that I might need to actually do some custom editing to this, so I decided to keep it fairly clean with what I was doing to try and make sure I didn't, put something there that I wouldn't need and waste my time, which is probably would have saved me time. And what I did here was I basically made a bunch of the pen marks, basically just click, click, and then not finish it. and then you go to object path outline stroke, and then you can edit the what the line made as a stroke, because the stroke is kind of like an outline, and until you finish the outline, the inside won't get a color. So if you go outline stroke, you can basically play with the stroke and manually edit it instead of just using the default generated stroke, which is always a solid length all the way around. And you can edit that in the sidebar there with the stroke tool. But if you guys want me to elaborate on that, you can go to my how to draw total drama characters, and then using Adobe Illustrator to color them. You can go there and do a little bit of learning, because I cover a fair bit of stuff in that as well. Okay, you can see me coloring the trees here, and just and what I do for the trees to make them the right color is I take the color they're sitting on, and then you can click new swatch, and it'll say, well, you want to make a new swatch from this color. And I basically just go to CYMK mode, and then just change the, I think it's the CYM, it's the K I change it. That's the basically white and black in the color. I adjust it up a little bit further to the black side, and then it basically makes it darker and makes it stand out as kind of being shadowed from the sun hitting the horizon line. Because yeah, the sun's coming from that direction, it's going to create a shadow on that half of the tree, which thus would look darker to us looking from this direction. Yeah, and then I get to the mountain. I basically just did my same method. Was I took a giant piece of the mountain, copied and pasted it in place a bunch of times, and then cut it according to how I needed it to look. So basically, what you want is each piece is gonna kind of like, so if you work from the bottom up, because the mountain has layers going to the top, the bottom part of the mountain is always going to be the biggest piece. The middle layer is going to be the second biggest piece. The second top piece is going to be the second largest piece, and the top is going to be very tiny. And I might bring up a video to show exactly what I mean by what I'm saying, because it's hard to explain. If I could just say it, it'd be a lot easier. Also, an important thing to do is to make sure you always group everything together to keep your layers clean. I cannot stress it enough. Always, when you create something, group it together so that you can always find that one piece and move everything seamlessly through the layers. Like, everything that I have is pieced together, so that this rock I'm clicking on right now, everything is pieced together in that layer. It's never like separately one single piece in the layer board. As you can see in the middle, onto the right of the screen there's that giant list of stuff. That's my layers, and all of them are kind of grouped together as this gigantic. Basically, it's kind of like putting everything in a folder, and then when you click on that folder, when you open that folder, you got all the pieces you need to make that certain thing, except they're aligned perfectly and such, and it just helps you keep track of everything that's kind of going on. Like, every single hill that I've done individually is its own layer in its own group. Like, all these pieces that I'm now clicking on, they're in their own group with that other things that are making that thing look like a cliff. Even the grass and trees are all in the same group, just to make everything look cleaner. And to make my as you can see, I'm clicking through the layers to see what I'm actually clicking on, then I can basically find everything easier and know, okay, well, I need to edit this piece, it should be connected to this piece. So I go in the layers and say, oh, there's the piece I need to click on, or I know which layer it's in, and you can do that. It's just a case you need to have if you're having some layer problems. It helps you with your layering problems. So here's a good example of that cutting piece. So I take a piece, copy, paste it, click, reshape it, boom. I know it's really hard to see because I can barely see it, but I know how I did it, so I can kind of explain and elaborate. But yeah, that's what I'm doing, is I'm just taking the original piece, copying, pasting it, and basically just leaving it where it is, and then just cutting that piece and changing its color. As you can see here, yeah, do the same thing again, cut the piece apart. Yeah, it also helps to make sure that your piece is never jagged or anything like that. That's one thing I can stress, because I freaking hate when I have a jagged line sticking out of nowhere and I'm like, why is this line doing this? I don't understand. You can just do that and it'll avoid that problem. And see here, I make all the dark shaded pieces and then put the gigantic brown piece in, and I'm doing these dark lines here, these kind of detail lines, and then I gotta fix them and fill it out there. But then I put the original brown piece behind all of that, and it should fix everything. Yeah, there it goes. And as you can see, it looks kind of weird, but then I go to my layers and I move it down to where it should be, and it goes behind everything, and boom, it looks perfect. I think there's some points where the video will pause, and that's just me, like, taking a break, stretching around, checking my phone because somebody tried to call me or something, and then I'm editing these rocks here. And then I just make them black because you couldn't really tell that much detail from little tiny rocks from that far away. And those are just kind of like spiky rocks and all that good junk. Now we're going to move into the water. Water is also one of the most hardest things to do. So what I do is I just kind of take it right from the Oskayi Island picture because I didn't feel like sitting there and basically messing around with watercolors for hours upon hours just because it's such a watercolors are, in my opinion, really hard. But you can also just go to cooler.com and type in water, and it'll give you the different swatches of different colors of water you can use to make it look proper. And then I move the water behind the island along with the sky, and then I use some brush tools to make some clouds. I know the total drama clouds are way different, but I was like, I'll put my own clouds in here and do my own special things with them. And boom, I got some clouds. And yeah, we're almost at the end here. Just gonna make sure I got everything, change some adjustments. Like, there's certain things that you guys can't see that I can. I'm like, no, it doesn't look right, and all the good junk. And boom, there it is. So we went from this black and white picture, a good outline. You want to make sure you got everything you need. You got everything you need. Just scan it in and use Illustrator, and boom, you can make it look like that. It's that simple. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time, and thank you for watching. Rate, comment, rate, subscribe.